Have you ever had one of those days where the floor falls out from under you, where you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back, and you realize the world you built isn't what you thought it was at all? Yeah, that day came for me. One moment I'm Julian Vance, the guy on the cover of business magazines, the king of a restaurant empire that spanned the country. Next, I'm hunched over in a sticky booth in my own failing diner, dressed in faded jeans and a hoodie, pretending to be a ghost. Before we continue, tell us where in the world you are watching from. Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful content like this. And then a waitress with tired eyes, but a spine made of steel, slides me a note that lights a fuse to my entire life. Does that make sense? Let me set the scene. That morning started like any other, with the sun glaring off the glass walls of my Chicago high-rise. Everything was polished chrome and stark white, a minimalist palace that was supposed to scream success. I had all the things that were meant to add up to a happy life. Money that could buy anything but meant nothing. A closet full of suits I barely wore, my name on fancy menus from coast to coast. But as I stared at the grim financial reports for the Avenue Grill, the diner I opened to honor my father, all I felt was this hollow ache. It was a black hole of loneliness right in my chest. The diner wasn't just losing money, it was losing its soul. The reviews were brutal. I wouldn't eat there myself. My father always said a diner was about community, a place where people felt seen. I had lost that. So I shed the CEO's skin, swapped the designer shoes for worn-out boots, and drove to the South Side, looking for an answer I couldn't find on a spreadsheet. Miles away, Maya Roberts was starting her own battle. A cramped apartment. The single mom shuffled, raising a son who saw the world in bright, crayon-colored drawings. She was the kind of woman who could turn thrift store clothes into a superhero cape, who fought for every scrap of joy. Seeing her that morning, laughing with her son in their tiny kitchen, you'd think the world was about to crush her. But you'd be dead wrong. That woman was unbreakable. The moment I walked into the diner, the vibe was all wrong. The staff moved with a heavy slowness, their smiles thin and forced. I slid into a booth in the back, a spot where I could watch everything. It was supposed to look like my dad's favorite spot, but it felt like a graveyard. Then Maya walked to my table. She moved with a purpose the others lacked, like she hadn't given up yet. She poured my coffee, her hand steady, and then she did it. She slipped a folded piece of paper under the saucer, her eyes locking onto mine for just a second. "I know who you are," she whispered, her voice barely a murmur under the crackle of the old jukebox. "They're going to destroy you. Have you ever felt your blood turn to ice?" That was me. I tried to act normal, ordered a slice of pie I didn't want, and watched her work the room. She was incredible, helping an elderly woman with her coat, smiling genuinely at a little kid, all while a man in a suit snapped his fingers at her like she was nothing. When she was gone, I unfolded the note. The words were a gut punch. "They're stealing from you. Meet me tonight, Lincoln Park, by the fountain. Come alone." I looked up. Maya's eyes met mine from across the room, a flicker of fear and defiance in them. My heart hammered against my ribs. Was this a setup? A scam? But in that instant, I trusted her more than my entire board of directors. In the back, Marcus Thorne, the district manager, watched the floor like a predator. a wolf in a wrinkled suit with cold eyes that saw everything and valued nothing. I knew then this wasn't about a few bad employees. This was rot, and it went all the way down. I paid my bill and left, my mind spinning. I sat in my car thinking about the insane risk she had just taken. I could have fired her on the spot. I could have had her arrested, but she did it anyway. She had drawn a line in the sand. At that moment, I decided I would be there. 8 p.m. Lincoln Park. The city lights blurred around me as I waited. Maya emerged from the shadows, wearing a simple jacket like a suit of armor. "You came," she said, her voice a mix of relief and terror. She laid it all out. Marcus, the systemic theft, the threats against anyone who spoke up, how the kitchen staff was forced to sign off on inventory that never arrived, how customer tips were skimmed before they ever reached the servers. "Why risk it?" I asked. She looked at me, her gaze unflinching. "Because my son is watching me. Because staying silent teaches him that it's okay to be a victim. My father worked his whole life and taught me to stand up for what's right. I have to do the same." She handed me a small, worn notebook. Inside, pages were filled with meticulous notes, dates, names, amounts, what she'd witnessed, what she'd overheard. I was speechless. For months, she'd been building a case, risking her job and her safety, all while serving coffee with a smile. It hit me then. I had been building an empire of assets and revenue streams. She had been building a foundation of truth. I promised her 2 things: that she and her son would be protected and that we would take Marcus down together. She refused my offer to transfer her to a safer location. "No," she said, a new strength in her voice. "I'm the one on the inside. I'm the risk, but I'm also the solution." There was pride in her words and a dangerous kind of hope. The next morning, I watched from an unmarked car as a supply truck unloaded boxes at the diner. Just as Maya had said, it wasn't just produce and frozen goods. I saw boxes of high-end electronics, designer bags, all being smuggled out in containers labeled kitchen supplies. Maya sent me texts from inside, her nerves like steel. She told me Marcus had cornered her, threatened her, even showed her a picture he'd taken of her son at the park. I asked her why she hadn't gone to the police. She told me about Marcus's connections, about the cops who ate for free and looked the other way. But then came the twist. Maya had done her research on me. She'd read old articles about how I started the company from a single food truck, how I'd refused to lay off staff during the last recession. She said, "I know you care about people, not just profits." That's why she took the risk. That's why she chose me. And for the first time in a decade, I felt like I was fighting for something more than just a bottom line. I was fighting for her. But nothing's ever that simple, is it? Marcus must have felt the walls closing in. That evening, the trap snapped shut. He sent me a text, and my blood ran cold. It was a picture of me and Maya in the park. Then another message with scanned documents that had been doctored to make it look like I was the mastermind behind the entire theft ring. And then the final brutal blow. A series of photos that seemed to show Maya laughing with Marcus, accepting an envelope of cash, looking like his partner in crime. The text that followed was simple. "She's been playing you the whole time, you idiot. She's a con artist. You've been set up." I wanted to believe it was a lie. I needed to. But when I called Maya, the call went straight to voicemail. I texted, No reply. Every second of silence felt like a hammer blow, twisting the knife of doubt. Marcos kept pushing. Another text. Go check her apartment. See if she's there waiting for her share. I drove through the city, my hands gripping the steering wheel, my throat tight. Every moment with her replayed in my head. Her steady gaze, her courage, the way she looked at me like I was someone worth believing in. Was it all an act? Was I just another rich fool to be taken? I stood outside her apartment door, my hand trembling as I raised it to knock. And that's where I'm going to leave you, right here with me in this dimly lit hallway. Ask yourself what you would believe. What would you risk? Who do you trust when the person who gave you hope might be the one who set the trap? Because sometimes the truth isn't what you see, but what you choose to fight for.